Most of us believe we know the story of Genesis. We have heard of the 6 days of work, the Garden of Delight, and the temptation of the forbidden fruit. But the ancient prophetic insights of Ellen G. White, particularly in her inspired work Patriarchs and Prophets, reveal a reality far more majestic and a physical truth about our origins that has been systematically obscured by modern philosophy. What if the first humans did not resemble us in size, strength, or appearance? What if the original Earth was not a wild, untamed jungle, but a structured, majestic palace, with mountains that bore no jagged cliffs and rivers that flowed in perfect, symmetrical harmony? In this documentary, we will strip away centuries of theological speculation and examine the exact factual sequence of the creation of our world. We will reveal the stunning physical stature of Adam and Eve, the mystery of the living forest palaces they called home, the cosmic celebration that silenced the universe, and the legal moral test that was placed at the very center of their paradise. Stay with us, because the details of this primeval world hold the key to understanding the titanic struggle that still rages around us today. When the planet Earth first emerged from the hands of its creator, it was extraordinarily, incomprehensibly beautiful. This was not a world of chaotic, rugged wilderness, but a masterfully ordered sanctuary of life. The surface of the globe was rich and varied, boasting mountains, hills, and plains, all seamlessly integrated into a landscape of flawless beauty. Yet, unlike the jagged, fractured peaks and terrifying chasms of our modern world, the primeval mountains and hills were regular, elegant, and soft in their contours. There were no barren deserts, no stagnant, disease-ridden swamps, and no sharp, naked rocks jutting out of the earth to betray a broken landscape. Beneath this blanket of vibrant, fertile soil lay the magnificent stony framework of the globe. These massive rocks, which today stand exposed as rugged cliffs and desolate mountains, were then completely buried deep beneath the surface, serving as what the prophetic writings call the hidden bones of the earth. This divine design ensured that the soil above could effortlessly sustain a thick, lush carpet of vegetation, which produced a continuous, thriving growth of life. The air, completely free from any harmful impurities or poisonous miasmas, was absolutely pure, crisp, and life-giving. The entire planet did not resemble a wild forest, but rather a noble open-air palace designed for royal inhabitants. Water, the source of earthly vitality, was distributed with perfect mathematical symmetry across the land. Majestic rivers and crystal-clear lakes cut through the plains, their currents steady and calm, never overflowing in destructive floods nor drying up into parched beds. Along their banks grew plants, flowers, and majestic trees of every conceivable species. These ancient trees were vastly larger, more robust, and infinitely more beautiful than any specimens we can observe today. Their trunks were massive, their wood as dense and durable as stone, and their branches stretched high into the heavens, casting gentle, inviting shadows over a ground that knew absolutely no decay. This pristine landscape was so magnificent that it commanded the attention of the entire cosmos. The heavenly host of angels looked down upon this new addition to God's creation with absolute delight and wonder. They did not merely observe, they rejoiced, raising their voices in harmonious choruses of praise, celebrating the incredible wisdom and boundless love of the Creator. Every valley, every leaf, and every wave of the sea reflected the perfect, unselfish character of the divine, establishing a visual and spiritual link between the newly made earth and the courts of heaven. Nothing was out of place, and nothing was incomplete. The earth was a living, breathing testament to the fact that God's original plan for humanity was one of absolute peace, physical perfection, and spiritual elevation. There was no shadow of death, no thorns to pierce the hand, and no autumn leaves to signal the passage of time or the onset of decay. Everything was fresh, eternal, and vibrant, waiting silently for the arrival of the being who would be given supreme dominion over this magnificent terrestrial kingdom. Before the dust of the ground was shaped into human form, a solemn and mysterious event took place in the highest courts of heaven. The Eternal Father consulted with his divine Son regarding the immediate execution of their shared purpose, to create man to inhabit this newly finished earth. This plan was not an afterthought, nor was it a sudden reaction to the rebellion of Lucifer. It was a calculated, loving design conceived before the foundations of the universe were laid. The Godhead determined to make a being of a noble order, one who would be placed under a moral test of loyalty to ensure his eternal safety before he could be granted immortality. This historic reality stands in direct, unyielding opposition to the popular theories of our modern age. The prophetic writings of the Spirit of Prophecy make it absolutely clear that there is no room in the divine record for the assumption that man evolved through slow, agonizing ages of development from lower forms of animal or plant life. Such teachings do not elevate humanity. Instead, they degrade the great work of the Creator, dragging it down to the level of narrow earthly concepts. Those who persist in excluding God from the sovereignty of the universe inevitably strip humanity of the dignity of its true origin. Our genealogy does not trace back to a lineage of microbes, mollusks, and quadrupeds, but directly to the great, infinite source of life. When Adam first stepped forth from the hands of his Creator, he was a specimen of breathtaking beauty and physical majesty. He was of noble stature and perfect, flawless symmetry. His height was colossal, standing more than twice the size of average men living on the earth today, well-proportioned and muscular in every limb. His features were marked by an intellectual and moral grandeur, reflecting the image of the divine. His complexion was not pale or white, but a rich, glowing, ruddy color, radiating the vibrant, overflowing warmth of perfect physical health and untainted vitality. This holy, sinless pair did not wear any artificial clothing made of fabric or animal skins. Instead, they were completely clothed in a natural, protective garment of light and glory, identical to the radiant garments worn by the heavenly angels. This brilliant robe of light, which served as a symbol of their moral innocence and union with God, completely enveloped their physical forms. It was a visual manifestation of the Holy Spirit's presence in their lives. As long as they lived in perfect obedience to the commandments of God, this glorious vestment of light continued to surround them, protecting them from any environmental changes and reflecting their inner purity. Thus, man was brought onto the scene as the crowning masterpiece of the Creator, the designated ruler of the beautiful earth. He was endowed with high intellectual capacities, a mind free from any bias toward evil, and a physical frame that was designed to endure for eternity. He was not a primitive caveman struggling for survival, but a king in a majestic palace, crowned with glory and honor, ready to govern the vast, untainted resources of the planet under the loving guidance of his Maker. With the earth fully prepared and the animal kingdom brought into existence, the Creator initiated a profound psychological lesson for the first man. Every living creature was brought before Adam so that he could observe their nature and designate their names. As Adam watched the animals pass by in orderly, peaceful pairs, he made a striking observation. Every single creature had been provided with a companion, a mate of its own kind, to share its existence. Yet, among all the wonders of the physical world, there was not found a helper comparable to him. Adam stood entirely alone, the sole representative of his species, with no equal to share his thoughts, his duties, or his affections. The Creator, in his infinite wisdom, had designed man to be a social being. God declared that it is not good that man should be alone, and promised to make him a helper comparable to him. Even in the unfallen perfection of Eden, surrounded by beautiful scenes and engaging in delightful tasks, perfect happiness was impossible without companionate love. Even the regular visits and holy communion with the celestial angels could not fully satisfy Adam's deeply felt desire for mutual sympathy and equal companionship. He required someone of his very own nature, someone who could not only understand his thoughts, but return his love with equal depth and passion. To answer this deep human need, God himself provided Adam with a companion. This helper was not created from the dust of the ground, but directly from a rib taken from Adam's side. This symbolic act was filled with eternal meaning. Eve was not created to dominate over man as his head, nor was she designed to be trampled under his feet as an inferior. She was taken from his side to stand beside him as an absolute equal, to be loved, protected, and cherished by him. She was bone of his bones and flesh of his flesh, his second self, establishing an indissoluble bond of mutual affection and respect that was to govern the sacred institution of marriage for all generations. The Creator himself celebrated the very first marriage, establishing this sacred institution as a divine gift to humanity. It was designed to preserve the moral purity, promote the social happiness, and elevate the physical, intellectual, and spiritual nature of the human race. Through this holy union, Adam and Eve were bound together in a shared destiny, their hearts beating in perfect unison, their minds aligned in their adoration of the Creator. They were two individuals, yet they were one flesh, representing the ultimate expression of divine love and companionship on the earth. With Eve by his side, the beauty of Eden took on a new, radiant meaning for Adam. The majestic landscapes, the sweet fragrance of the flowers, and the joyous songs of the birds were no longer experienced in solitary silence. They could now look into each other's eyes and find a reflection of the same joy, the same gratitude, and the same deep love for the Creator who had so generously provided for their happiness. They were ready to embark on their shared journey, walking together as co-rulers of a perfect, untainted world. Though the entire earth was exceptionally beautiful, the Creator manifested his special love for the holy couple by planting a specific, magnificent garden in the east, known as the Garden of Eden. This was to be their dedicated home, a model of perfection that their descendants would copy as they spread across the globe. Within this garden grew trees of every imaginable variety, loaded with fragrant, delicious fruits of brilliant colors. This special park was designed not only as a beautiful dwelling place, but as a classroom where their physical, mental, and spiritual powers would continually expand. Among the natural wonders of this garden were the gigantic grapevines. Unlike anything seen on Earth since the fall, these beautiful plants grew vertically without any artificial support, yet their massive, heavy clusters of grapes bent the branches downward toward the ground. The grapes themselves were oversized and vibrantly colored, ranging from deep, near-black purple to ruby red, pink, and pale green. The delightful, refreshing work assigned to Adam and Eve was to train these living branches, shaping them into elegant arbors that formed natural, leafy dwellings. This pleasant task kept their minds active, strengthened their bodies, and provided them with a sense of purposeful stewardship over the creation. At the absolute center of this magnificent sanctuary stood the glorious tree of life, surpassing all other vegetation in splendor. Its fruit resembled apples of gold and silver, beautifully designed to perpetuate their physical youth and vital energy. The leaves of this tree possessed unique, curative properties that completely protected their bodies from any physical decay, aging, or disease. This tree stood as the visible physical guarantee of their immortality. As long as they remained obedient and maintained access to this life-giving source, death remained a completely impossible concept, and their physical beauty and energy would continue to develop throughout eternity. Yet, standing in close proximity to the tree of life was another highly significant tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This tree was specifically designed by God to serve as a constant, visible test of their obedience, faith, and love. While Adam and Eve were permitted to eat freely from every other tree in the garden, they were commanded, under pain of absolute death, never to eat from this tree, nor even to touch its branches. This simple restriction was the only boundary placed upon their freedom, serving as a pledge of their loyalty to the King of the universe. They were created as free moral agents, capable of understanding the justice of God's laws and possessing the full freedom to obey or disobey. God did not desire forced service. He wanted a relationship based on voluntary love and intelligent appreciation of his character. Had he created them without the capacity to transgress, they would have been mere automata, unable to develop moral character or experience the true depth of holy joy. Thus, the forbidden tree was not a trap, but a necessary opportunity for them to demonstrate their willing, loving allegiance to their Creator, ensuring their eternal safety and happiness. But why would a loving God allow an adversary to enter this perfect, untainted paradise? Was a single simple act of touching a fruit really enough to shatter the peace of the entire universe? In just a moment, we will look into the glorious celebration of the very first Sabbath and reveal how this original day of rest was designed to protect humanity from the deceptive traps of the enemy. Keep watching, because the golden chain that linked Eden to the throne of God still holds a vital secret for our lives today. With the creation of man and woman and the establishment of their Eden home, the grand work of creation was officially complete. God looked upon everything he had made and declared it to be very good. The pristine earth stood as a flawless reflection of his character, a masterpiece of love, beauty, and order. The prophetic record tells us that at this glorious moment, the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. The unfallen worlds and the massive host of heavenly angels joined their voices in a majestic, cosmic celebration, filling the universe with sweet, harmonious songs of adoration for the Father and his beloved Son. In 6 literal days, the great work of creation had been accomplished. And now, as the sun began to set on the 6th day, the Creator did not proceed with further work. Instead, he rested on the 7th day. This rest was not the result of physical exhaustion or fatigue, for the Creator of the ends of the earth never faints or grows weary. It was a rest of absolute satisfaction, a divine pause to contemplate and enjoy the perfect fruits of his infinite wisdom and boundless goodness. By his own example, God established the 7th day as a sacred day of rest for all of humanity. God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, setting it apart as a holy day for sacred use. In the heart of Eden, before sin had ever entered the world, God established the Sabbath as an eternal memorial of his creative power. It was committed directly to Adam, the father and representative of the entire human family, to be observed by all his descendants as a grateful acknowledgement that God was their creator and rightful sovereign. The Sabbath was entirely commemorative, designed to draw the minds of men away from their daily earthly pursuits and focus them entirely on the contemplation of God's love, his power, and his beautiful handiwork in nature. Even in their unfallen state, a regular day of rest was essential for Adam and Eve. It provided them with a dedicated opportunity to lay aside their pleasant daily tasks in the garden and spend their time in deeper meditation, study, and direct communion with their Creator and the holy angels. Nature itself served as their textbook. In every leaf of the forest, in every stone of the mountains, and in every shining star in the heavens, they could trace the handwritten name of their Creator. The Sabbath invited them to open this great book of nature and discover the deep secrets of divine wisdom and love. As long as they remained loyal to this sacred rhythm of trust and obedience, their capacity to know, to love, and to enjoy would grow throughout eternity. They were surrounded by signs of infinite love, secure in their physical perfection, and destined for an increasingly glorious future in close communion with the Godhead. The Sabbath stood as a golden chain linking the earth to the very throne of God, a constant reminder that they were the beloved children of the King of the universe. The stage was set, paradise was complete, the test of loyalty was established, and humanity walked in perfect harmony with the divine. But in the shadows of this perfect world, a fallen, brilliant being was already planning his attack, determined to turn this beautiful palace into a graveyard of sin and death. In our next episode, we will look into the shocking details of the temptation and the fall. We will reveal the mesmerizing golden form of the primeval serpent, the subtle psychological trap that ensnared Eve, and the devastating choice that forced Adam to voluntarily walk into a shadow of death. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, turn on all notifications, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on the incredible physical stature of Adam and the hidden beauty of the original Earth. Don't miss the next chapter of this cosmic saga. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.